morning and happy Saturday from another Wawa's parking lot. I am out very early. It's darker than it looks in this. You can still see the moon's out. Oh, did we get two moons? That's interesting. Oh no, one's a street light. But I'm up way too early to head out to the Lehigh Gorge, where I'm going to meet Deb. And we are going to climb out of the Lehigh Gorge going south on the Appalachian Trail. Let me try that again. On the Appalachian Trail going southbound today. We're going to do about 5.5 miles. I'm still dealing with some hip pain and I don't want to overdo it. So we're going to take it easy and do the 5.5 miles. The next section south of that is the Bake Oven Knob section, which from every video I've seen is very challenging. But if Deb is feeling up to it, she may push on and do that section. It's a nice thing about using two cars is we can do these jump-to-jump, point-to-point hikes. So, but I have talked long enough. She's going to be getting ahead of me. I've got about an hour's drive to the trailhead, so let's get moving. Welcome to the Appalachian Trail. I'm a northerner, I'm not going to get it right. I apologize for the road noise. This is a very busy stretch of road here. And you can see behind me, that monstrosity is the climb out of Lehigh Gorge if you're going northbound. If you watched my Palmerton Zinc Loop hike from last year, I got right to the top there and then chickened out because I can't do that. I just can't. But we're not going that way today. Today we are going that way. We're gonna go up out of the gorge the other direction and 5 miles along the ridge. It's listed as a hard hike. And I suspect that the hard is mostly because of our much beloved Pennsylvania rocks. We do have the steep climb up at the beginning. I think it's 800 feet of elevation in about a mile, so it's pretty comparable to what we did at Mount Misery last week, only a lot more. But we did that, so I'm confident we can do this. Once we get up to the top, it's pretty level. It's just how bad are the rocks going to be. And we saw at the other end, the rocks are pretty darn bad. And then once we get back to the car, we'll make decisions on where we're going to go from there. But first we got to get up this mountain. So I'm going to get my pack on. Deb's got her boots on, well, her trail runners on, and we're going to hit the trail. So this is the George Outerbridge shelter. It's a bit more worn than a lot of the ones that we see on the Pennsylvania AT. It certainly is nothing compared to what we saw at Quarry Gap. But I would imagine on a bad night this would be a good place to stay. There's a nice little water source that we passed on the trail up. I don't see a privy anywhere around, so I do see a couple of cow paths going off into the woods, so I suspect that that leads off to wherever people do their business. Although at this location, I would imagine this doesn't get a lot of thru-hiker attention because you're only a mile from town. By the time a thru-hiker gets to this point, all they're thinking about is pizza and burgers, and they're going to finish to getting down to the highway and to Palmerton. So we are about halfway up the mountain. It's kicking my butt. I've had to ditch all my layers already, and I'm still sweating to death. But we have to get back to the car, so we're going to keep moving. All right, so as the sign says, this is a bypass trail. But ironically, until this past November, this was the bypass. If you watched my video from when I hiked the Palmerton Zinc Loop, you may remember that this whole area was very heavily mined for tin making materials, especially zinc. And as a result, the landscape around here was toxic with heavy metals, to the point where it was killing wildlife. The trees couldn't survive. The hills up on the other side look like a moonscape with all the dead trees and rocky fields. But since 2011, they've been doing a lot of restoration on both sides here. Oh, and because of that, the AT obviously has come through here for 100 years now. This is the 100th anniversary of the trail. But in 2011, they had to reroute the trail in various points on both sides of the gorge here in order to begin reclamation of the land, which, with heavy metals, that is a very time-consuming process for it to leach out and get clear. But the EPA has determined that the area around here is now clear enough that they have begun to allow the Appalachian Trail clubs in the area to start rerouting the trail back to the original route. And last fall, I believe it was in November, a team came through, and that blue blaze you see down the trail down there was a white blaze that's been painted over. And the white blazes up here are all newly painted. So we're getting to hike on a trail that last year's thru hikers did not get to walk. And we may regret it because it goes straight up that mountain, but on the plus side, it has much better views. So we are bribing ourselves with views to get through this last half mile or so. But we're not going to get there if we don't keep walking. Checking the map after you've done big elevation is kind of depressing because visually you haven't made much lateral progress. But we've done 1.2 miles in an hour and a half with 1,000 feet of elevation gain. So we've worked very hard. And now we're on, oh, pardon me, we're on a very lovely ridge blocking other hikers. But Deb was just saying you can really see why they've put the trail back up here instead of the lower elevation that the reroute had been on. There's a lovely campsite here. We had just seen another one a little bit ahead, but it was on a slope and it was not great, but this would be a lovely place to camp. I could hang my hammock right over there and plenty of space for Deb to put her tent, and probably not a lot of bears up here. So now we're doing ridge walking most of the rest of the way to the car. I don't know if and when, I mean, we're in Pennsylvania, it's when we're going to run into rocks again. But I know it did look pretty rocky at that other end. But hopefully we're going to make good time. Everything's feeling good after that climb. Okay. I've got my bum hip taped with KT tape today. I've started doing some exercises to strengthen the muscles supporting it. So we're going to see if that combination gets me through to the end. All right, onward.
Onward, let's do it.
Okay, the other fun part about this section of the trail is you've seen in a number of my videos, I've gone through a tunnel on the northeast extension of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, the Lehigh Tunnel. This is the Lehigh Valley. this section of the trail goes over that tunnel. In fact, I think we can see these cell phone towers from the highway when we're driving up to the tunnel. So it's very high, and you can kind of feel the elevation.
Oh my gosh, look at the road down there.
I will show you the road down there in just 1 second. So we're coming up on that now, and then on the other side we're going to stop and take a break. But let me show you this. So we have stopped for a butt break at a site that's full of all kinds of these little, I don't know, sand fleas? Rock fleas? I don't know what they are.
Bugs.
They're all over everything, but I don't care because I'm getting to sit down. So we're stretching out, rubbing out my feet, having a snack, refilling our water. I think at least I'm going to have to remove some water, but we've got about 2 miles left to go.
About 2, yep.
The trail looks like it does. Ooh. Hey. You too. Trail runners. They're crazy people.
Yeah.
The trail looks like it does a couple of splits coming up, and at one split we go one way and the other split we go the other way. So we're just crossing our fingers that everything is well blazed and we can find our way. There's supposed to be a view here, but it's all grown in with brush. So you can't really see a whole lot, but we got some amazing views coming over the tunnel. That was a couple of places that got kind of hairy for me because, I'm scared of heights. And there were a couple of places where it was really rocky right close to the edge, and my weak ankle is like, maybe now I'll go. No, maybe now I'll go out. Oh. But then we got to a point where it looked like somebody had come through with a mini bulldozer, and the trail was beautifully cut, and they had put stone steps in or flat stone level areas. So there's obviously been work done on this trail to get it ready for reopening as the official AT. So if you are watching this video as a thru hiker, I don't know why you would, but thank you very much. Good work. Keep going. Make sure you double check your instructions and are following the correct trail. Follow the blazes. We've been using Deb's Far Out, and at the moment it's not showing the change in route onto this the north trail, the route that it was originally on before the remediation began.
I also haven't updated my app in a while.
But in case you didn't hear that, she didn't know that you needed to update the maps in Far Out periodically. So take that with a grain of salt, but be aware that yes, the route has changed, and make sure you're following the blazes rather than relying on the maps. So, especially if you're using the AWOL guide, that's probably out of date. So you'll need to make sure that you're following the right trail. And it's worth it. The views were incredible. I can't imagine the views lower, because the other part of the trail is lower down, and I can't imagine that the views were half as good as what we were seeing up here. All right. I'm going to give my IT band one more good stretch and roll it out a little bit, and then we're going to knock out these last 2 miles and let's see what we see up ahead. To the car. We got to do a little bit of trail magic there at the end. For those of you who aren't aware, the North Pennsylvania sections of the Appalachian Trail don't have a lot of water sources, and those that do have issues with heavy metal contamination. This is a very loud road for being out in the middle of nowhere. So there are people who will voluntarily drop off water at some of these road crossings. So it was really a nice treat to come down the hill and see that message of encouragement. So Deb and I dumped the last of our water, our clean water, into the bottle for whoever comes next. And there were a couple of other goodies left there too for anybody coming through. So that was 5.5 miles in...
Oh, hold on. Let's do official time because we took that side trail.
Yeah.
So according to Gut Hooks, aka Far Out, we did 5.9 miles.
In how long?
5 hours and 39 minutes.
That's not terrible considering the
we had a
terrain
nice
and the
long break
conditions.
for snacks and water.
So inch by inch, we're knocking out the AT in Pennsylvania. Oh, there's a hawk over there. Sorry, I always get distracted when I'm doing this. Not sure what we're going to do next week, but Deb says she is going to be available next weekend. So we're going to go out and do something, depending on the weather and how everybody's feeling.
All Trail said we did 6.
All Trail said we did 6. We did a lot. So, and nobody's got any serious pain. I've got a little bit of ache in my leg, but I think the taping and the new exercises are really helping. Deb's having just tired legs, so I think we climbed a mountain. We did a hell of a lot of elevation gain. So it was a good day. And next weekend will be good as well. And I hope you'll come with us. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.